In the middle of tremendous darkness and personal tragedy, false lights are trying to guide us, and they can bring shipwreck. We must be focused on God's pathways and His light in the storms of life. Christ is the light of navigation. Hello, and welcome to the Light of Navigation and this Reflections podcast. My name is Marguerite Lever-Woodall, and I'm an author and speaker and your host. In these podcasts, I love to explore and contemplate different life issues and their solutions through the lens of God's wisdom and His words. In this unusual episode titled The Fruit of Sorrow, I'm reflecting on the overlooked fruit that sorrow can produce in our lives that glorifies God. You won't see sorrow the same way again. Join me in giving thought on the tough issues of life, and let's discover God's pathways through them. When sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well. It is well with my soul. This verse from Horatio Spafford's hymn of long ago speaks volumes. Recently, I explored the gift of pain in both writing and on my podcast, and not a popular subject to be sure. But pain is a redemptive teacher in many ways. The pain and anguish of grief and the sorrow that follows can run deep, and both have a work to do. There's a difference between grief and sorrow. Grief is the more immediate, intense, complex physical and emotional response to considerable loss. Sorrow, on the other hand, overlaps with grief's eventual fading and is a more general, long-term, and profound feeling of sadness or regret. Sorrow is transformative one way or another. It will lead to the light or deep darkness. That's what I'm looking at here, the transformation. Its fruit can produce endurance, deep character that can't be dismissed, and hope. It has the power to shake us loose from our complacency, a common human condition. Above all, and more importantly, there's a deeper intimacy with God that can develop. On the other hand, sorrow can bury you. It can capture our focus so completely that we take an ingrained negativity in our character and in our routine interactions with others. Hopelessness can take over and become the focus of life, bleeding you dry and draining you, and depression will overwhelm you at every turn. If sorrow moves in the wrong direction in our lives, we become so engulfed by it that we turn inward and cannot enter community well, if at all. In short, our relationships suffer, even to the point of loss. Sorrow is a part of the process of loss, just as grief is. But if we stay there, it becomes our tomb. Sorrow has something positive to teach us that, in the end, is striking. A mature, balanced sorrow can eventually produce magnificent fruit. In it, there's what I refer to as a quiet sadness that evolves beyond the sorrow and runs deep inside of someone. It's a heartache that, if buffered and shaped by a relationship with Christ, can speak volumes, yet without words. A gentle, deeply peaceful, yet potent strength of character is present. There's a developed depth of insight and truth about the world we live in that's evident. That death is a part of life and needs to be faced. It's also coupled with an abiding hope for a better day. The transparency that comes with this kind of sadness brings an authenticity in how we interact with others. It also exposes the fallenness of this world that others don't want to face. Sometimes others detect this sadness in their interactions with us. The fruit of sorrow's truth is beautiful, yet horrible at the same time. This is why a deeply rooted connection with God brings needed stability, mentally and emotionally, if we choose to face it and let it powerfully shape us. I carry the undercurrent of a Christ-centered sadness in myself, and God is shaping me through it. I've endured the significant loss of several loved ones. With the loss of a child, we become a representation of what no one wants to face. The truth is, others will distance themselves relationally more often than not because of it. Sorrow's sadness is seen as an enemy, and it frightens people. In our hearts, we still think we live in Eden and shouldn't be partnering with it in any way. In the Eden of our hearts, death is not supposed to be a part of life. I think that's why death shakes us and affects us so deeply. Instinctively, yet vaguely, we know it wasn't in the original blueprint of life from the Creator. If you've walked through any sorrow in your life, what has it produced? Has it been life-changing in a positive way? Or did it produce a downward descent and decay? Did it completely distract you long-term or drive you deeper into the arms of God to hear His heartbeat? The best fruit of all, yet the most unlikely one coming from sorrow, is a glory. A glory that carries a weightiness and substance which honors God. It radiates His goodness despite everything we have faced and glorifies Him. If you let sorrow have its perfect work, others will see that you carry it within. Have you seen or known someone who carries it? If it's been a part of your life, do you carry it well? Sorrow can emanate a glorious truth that there's a Savior and a hope that doesn't disappoint at the end of it all. I'd like to share this final thought with you that came to me after I walked through the death of my only child, my son. The valley of the shadow of death is not just the experience of those who pass over when they die, but also the experience emotionally of the ones left behind that loved them. Thanks for hearing my heart today. If this podcast settles some tumultuous issues concerning grief and sorrow for someone you know, please pass it on. As one minister said long ago, God will turn your scars into stars. Your comments are valued, and subscribing is deeply appreciated. And stay tuned for the next episode of Reflections for Wisdom. I wonder what God's wisdom will want to speak next, don't you? Thank you so much for listening.